I was actually running late because I was trying to run some real-time data to figure out exactly where we are as of 11 o'clock. I got caught up in some traffic coming down here, but I got some real interesting numbers. I'm going to throw a lot of numbers at you. You can sort of digest it, and then if there's any questions afterwards, you know, I'll be happy to answer it. Effectively, in this three-quadrant greater downtown Miami corridor that we like to define, you have Biscayne Boulevard, you have downtown Miami, you have the Brickell Avenue. We go from the Rickenbacker to the Julia Tuttle, I-95 east to Biscayne Bay. And what we did is we spent about 5 months last year. We drove block by block by block. We looked at any building that was more than a story high and it looked like it was multifamily. We wrote down the address. We then went and delved into public records and property appraiser records, clerk of the court records, anything that was out there, and we tried to figure out if it was a condominium or if it was not a condominium. If it was a condominium, we extracted information from the condominium documents that are recorded with the clerk of the court, and we created a spreadsheet, a database, if you will, of every single project that exists, going block by block by block. And what was kind of interesting to find out is from 1963 to 2002, based on our data, and everything we have has been substantiated with some sort of public document or visiting with the developer if it's a brand new project. What was interesting to find is from 63 to 02, there were roughly about 11,500 units that were built. From 03 till about 2010, when the last unit comes online, there would have been 23,000 in that particular range. So we went from 11,500 to about 34,254 today. Now, a general big picture macro perspective, from what we're looking at today, there's currently, of that 34,254 units in this three-quadrant area, Julia Tuttle to the Rickenbacker, I-95 to the Bay, 12,589 are currently available. Roughly about 2,500 available on a resale basis, another 10,130 are available directly from the developer. So what we're looking at is roughly about 37% of the overall inventory is currently available in some form. Roughly 20% is going to be in the form of a resale. The other 80% is going to be coming directly from the developer. Now what's interesting is as you go quadrant by quadrant by quadrant, Brickell, downtown, Biscayne Boulevard corridor, you're going to see some interesting numbers that start to emerge. For instance, if you look at the greater downtown Miami area, you're going to see that roughly 56% of all of the inventory is currently online. If you look at the Biscayne Boulevard corridor area, which would be effectively the MacArthur to the Julia Tuttle, you're going to find about 30% is online. And then when you get into Brickell Avenue, it's roughly about 32%. Again, that's resales, and that's directly from the developers. So what we'd like to do is we'd like to try to use this information to kind of identify opportunity on behalf of buyers. Our company, we have two companies. One is a brokerage that works on the buy side. The other company is a consultancy. And what we like to do is we like to use this information to figure out kind of where the distress is, where the opportunity may be, and then we try to time it right so we can get in there and try to do a large deal or possibly even a small deal. Really what we've seen in the form of the downtown greater Miami area is that effectively the first 9 months the lender and the developer are very optimistic that you're probably going to have a lot of the contracts go to closing and the success rate will be fairly good. And typically about month 8 and 9 they start to get a little bit pessimistic. And so we like to get in there right around 7 months, 6 months, 5 months, start to work, establish a rapport, spend some time with the developer, maybe even get to know the lender. And then about month 10 or 11, when that possibility for a bulk deal to occur exists, if you've been able to prove that you have some viable and credible buyers, then you might get that call to go ahead and try to pull off one of these transactions. We were fortunate enough, we've submitted 41 offers to date on bulk transactions throughout the state of Florida. I went under contract on 10 of them. I just closed my first one at the end of the year, so that was kind of an accomplishment. Hell of a lot of work. It's not easy. The money is good, but let me tell you, when you compare it to the amount of time put in there, I have a lot of you know, a lot of people who go out there and do commercial real estate. It's really kind of a major task. It's something that can be a real challenge. It's not like doing a single family type of house, but that being said, I will tell you there's a tremendous amount of money circling in the market right now. We've been contacted by upwards of 250 funds. We had one university endowment fund approach us. They have about $25 million allocated towards distressed real estate in Miami area. We've been approached by pension funds, foreign national. I mean, it's just, the money's out there. Everybody wants to come in and try to buy in Miami. And I'd almost point out that the positive thing about all the bad press, and I get criticized a little bit for some of the things that I say, but so some of the positive news about the bad press is that it's got the eyes of the world really focused on South Florida. If you're in Atlanta and you're trying to peddle a distressed property, you're going to have a much more difficult time trying to convince a buyer to go to Atlanta rather than come into Miami. The value in Atlanta might actually be better than Miami, but at the end of the day, people want to buy in Miami for all the obvious reasons. But you know, with all this bad press, only gets them excited much more about coming down here. So it's, you know, I sort of support a lot of things Ron said. I think in many submarkets we're starting to see that bottom. We're starting to feel it. South Beach, for instance, I would say we probably hit the bottom 9 months ago. People may or may not agree with that, but now the only value that's really out there seems to be the anomaly. You have one here, you have one there. You're not seeing the true deep discounts that we've seen. And as we go forward, and I'll wrap it up right here, man. As we go forward, I realistically think we're going to burn through the bulk product in downtown Miami probably within 9 to 12 months max. We're currently in the process of working on 4 different deals. I have another conference call today about 3:30 on a transaction. Everything that's out there that's still readily available, you know, there's not too many projects out there. There's maybe about a dozen projects or so that the big institutional money is going after. Keeping in mind, most of the big institutional money is, I think, 50% of a project or more. And if you look at the overall closure ratio on all of the new units that came online, we're standing at about 55%. And if you look at buildings that have been delivered and closing for at least 6 months, that closing ratio goes up to over 70%. So it's a real interesting time. We're right in the heart of it. A year or two from now, people are going to look back to this moment and say, boy, I really wish I would have. The ones who are going in there are the gunslingers. They're taking a chance. They're not all going to win. Some of them will, some of them won't. You know, one of the things we're hearing a lot of is, you know, the first settler gets the arrow, the second settler gets the land. The question is, where are we in the whole process?